Welcome back to Daybreak Africa. If you just tuned in, reaching you here from our studios, just T and Ezekiel. Ogar. Now, like every other administration, this one is not free from controversy nor backlash. Now, recently the government has tried to do a lot as regarding the students' loan, and then the particular issue here is the issue of the cost of governance and the 114% increment for political office holders. It's more like Nigerians are not really taking this in that well. And with us, we have a guest in the house, my very own friend, doesn't know Sam, Olourunfemi. Once again, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
I'm really glad you're the one here for this discussion.
Thank you, Ezekiel, and thank you, Adela. It's been a while. Thank you for having me.
Well, I know that this definitely is not news to you.
Exactly.
Although it came as a shock to Nigerians, considering the fact that Nigerians have been anticipating the government that would alleviate all these struggles and that every individual is facing currently. And now we are seeing a rise in salary increment for the public servants, which has to be 114%. Do you think this is the right time for this?
Thank you, Angela. We've been talking about this for a while, that there's need for us to cut the cost of governance. In fact, there's no controversy about that. Nobody can shine away from truth. In fact, there was a time that people came up with some analysis, Nigerian politicians and UK politicians, just to put their salary side aside. And at the end of the day, we got to understand that the amount of salary our politicians here are taking home is far more than what the politicians in UK, in US are taking home. I think it got to a point, politicians, like the National Assembly, each time we are talking about salary increment, what our politicians, what they are taking home, and so on and so forth. I think in some cases, we at times we do center on those at the National Assembly. People at the National Assembly, they talks about basic salary, they talks about newspaper allowance, transport allowance, oversight function allowance, and all these things. Is there at their statutory responsibility, because reason why we got them elected into office. Now, on this issue of RAFAC, when the news broke, Nigeria did not take it lightly, especially with this government. How you remove first subsidy? You are here to talk about the increment in the new minimum wage for workers who are working tirelessly, that they are not even working in AC. We are not talking about how to ameliorate the effect of first subsidy. They are talking about, and news just broke out one day, they are talking about the around 14% increment in salaries or wages of the politicians. I think in the midst of that crisis, the issue of electricity tariff came up that we start by but at the end of the day, I think we try to manage the information, and the president's spokesperson, Daybreak, came out in France. Recently they were in France, now they are back. Now came out to say that that the proposal is yet to be put forward to Mr. President. That the RAFAC chairman just came out with that a kind of proposal that they are looking at how they will increase the salary of of our public, because we call them public servant now. When they want to do a kind of corny, they say we should call it them public servant, that they want serving us. You understand now? That's just a kind of proposal from RAFAC that they are yet to be transmitted to Mr. President. And Angela will know the process. Anytime they want to increase that, it won't just come from RAFAC now to the office of the Mr. President. At least it will go around the 36 state houses of assembly. But people were like, if this should go around 36 houses of assembly, that there's possibility that these state lawmakers will easily pass it into law, because they know that they're going to be a kind of beneficiary in this. Then, after moving from 36 states of assembly, you go to the National Assembly, from Senate to House of Representatives. Then we pass first reading, second reading, then they will pass it to Mr. President for assent. But as we speak now, I think it is still within the domain of RAFAC, because they are coming as a proposal. But Nigerians are saying that whether you are proposing or you are dreaming or you are trying to, that this is not time now for us to increase the I don't know if I should call it allowance now or the salary of politicians. But Angela, let me say this thing clear. For 3.5 years, I was a media aide to a sitting politician. Now, when you look at the basic salary of politicians, to me, it's not that high as Nigerians are talking about it. It's not that high. But what makes their salary so fat among us is the issue of various allowances. You see now, you as a sitting lawmaker, you are going for oversight function. One of the reasons why your people elected you, you'll be taking salary for oversight function. You are talking about newspaper allowance, wardrobe allowance, traveling allowance, security allowance. So when you combine all these allowances together, is what make their salary so obungos. But when you're talking about basic salary, you see, I think this year, before expiration of admission of President Muhammadu Buhari, I think the Minister of Labour and Employment came out on national TV to talk about that the salary of a city minister happens to be around 50-something thousand naira. But we're talking about allowances. But be it allowance, be it basic salary, what Nigerians are talking about, it is not at this time. It is not, in fact, it's not reasonable to say that you want to increase the salary of politicians at this particular time. No. And I believe that even the president there sitting on that will know that this is not the right time for him. In fact, he dare not say that he wants to increase because people will not understand. Now, what we are talking about this government is that now you came in with a lot of policies that Nigeria are not finding funny. You know, removing of fuel subsidy, it has been a kind of problem, especially on workers now. We knew what step taken by the Kwara State government, reducing the working day from 5 days to 3 days. We saw it in Oyo. Immediately, we saw what Governor Obaseki in Edo State tried to increase the minimum wage from 30,000 for 40,000. And later, we saw what Governor Shemakide did in Oyo State, tried to provide a mass transit for workers that will take them from their various locations down to their various offices and ministry and department and agencies. Now, this is what government is supposed to be looking at now. I want to believe that the rampant chairman that came up with the EU of maybe trying to increase the salary of government workers, I think that one ought to have come up at that particular time, because to me it's untimely. It's just like I could remember now perfectly. We were together on during the state of assembly election. We were live here, and I was talking to. I could remember Ezekiel asked me a question whether timely or not the capacity the EU of CBN then trying to introduce the new Naira policy, and I was telling you that time is not the capacity. It was a little of timing, that the timing was wrong. Now this is not the time for us now to say I want to increase the salary of the public servant. No, because people are not smiling. Workers are not smiling. Now, if at all you want to increase the salary of politicians and our public servant, as they call themselves now, at least we're supposed to give people, especially the workers, supposed to make a kind of soft landing, especially in this kind of hardship that they are going through in the EU of fuel subsidy removers. Now, as we speak now, some people are selling for an rate of 510, 520, 530, and you know the cost moving from one place to another, and the minimum wage is still stagnant, not going anywhere. Recently, don't forget that, you know, when the president talked about the subsidies gone during his presidential speech in Abuja at Daku Square, you know, immediately we saw EU of queues returning back to our filling stations. And at the end of the day, you know, NSC and TUC came up with the view of strike. They want to go on strike. The government ought to just invite them, let them sit on the round table, discuss how they will put palliative in place so that workers will not feel the effect of this fuel subsidy removal. You know, at the end of the day, the meeting was adjourned to 19th of this month. At the end of the day, we saw the demands of the TUC and the demands of ASU. And one of the key of that particular demands happens to be increment in the minimum wage. No, TUC tabled about 200,000 minimum wage, which we know that one is not feasible. That to increase salary to 200,000 minimum wage, that one is possible. But at least TUC is trying to do a kind of thing that by the time they will table the matter before the federal government, so that if at all they want to beat it down, they will beat down to a reasonable minimum wage for Nigerian workers. So to me, I think we should put the interest of Nigerian workers first before putting the interest of those that came out in the February and March election that want to come and serve us. It is good. And again, if at all we want to increase the salaries of public servants, now let's look at the judiciary. The judiciary is very key. When you look at the amount of money our judges are earning, Angela, in fact, you'll be amazed that they are not earning up to what is supposed to be earning. And you know, judges now, they can't come to the media the way we are coming to media. You can't see any judge coming out to grant interview because it's one of the rules guiding them. People speak on their behalf. And they're talking about one of the ways in which we can curb corruption. Now, I'm not talking about those in the legislative arm. Then I'm not talking about those in the executive arm. I'm not talking about judiciary. Those are the judiciary. No, we're talking about one of the ways that we can curb corruption in judiciary, because oftentimes we talk about corruption in judiciary, how some judges are going behind the back door, try to collect money to deliver a judgment that will favor some people because they have money, they have the capacity to hire more sons and so on and so forth. So we are looking at the angle. And to me, if you ask me that, which of the civil sector or which of the arm of government that we need to increase their salary at this time, I will tell you judiciary. So let's forget about the legislature. Let's go there about the executive. Now, when you look at it, there was a time in this country whereby you of bribery allegation, DSS going to the judge's house just to invade their house on issue of bribery allegation. It was so rampant then. So people like, if we allow our judiciary to take a very good remuneration, to have very good salary, nobody will come and intimidate them with money. And again, all these judges, they are human beings. They have blood running in their veins. Now, if we can increase their salary and make things so good for them, make their living so good, and so on and so forth, to corrupt judiciary, to corrupt our judges. No, there was a time I read the book that talks about the incorruptible judge. No, in such a way that when you are living fine as a judge, when you have everything around you that's going on, no politician will come and intimidate you with naira and dollars. So we saw that played out in the past as far as judiciary is concerned. And there was a time that people were warning judiciary that no, that judiciary must abstain from politicians. And it got to a time, especially during this electionary campaign and post-election litigation, you see some politicians now try to buy their way through the back door, and they can only do that through the judiciary, through the judges, because no matter what your lawyer will say, no matter what your counsel will deliver, the judge, they have the final say on that particular matter, whether we like it or not. So we're looking at the angle whereby we make our judiciary so comfortable in such a way that it will be difficult for anybody to go and harass them or intimidate with money. But when you look at the executive arm and the legislature, let's forget about the salary increment for now. But again, an argument came up on social media, Angela, that talks about that you people, you don't want the salary of your lawmakers to be increased, and yet you people won't stop taxing their money. You people won't stop acting their money. You know, when I was a media to a politician for 3.5 years, you know, I was the one behind his social media. No, people don't know. No, most cases people will think that all these politicians who are tweeting, they believe that they are the one tweeting. No, if I open my folder up to today, you will see a lot of people asking money. Not knowing that this is not the person they voted for. This is just the media asking for money. You see someone that want to do wedding, you ask the politician. Your child want to go to school, you ask money. Your child just put to bed, you ask money. You want to do this, you ask money. So people were like, if you don't want their salary to be increased, stop asking them money. Let them do what they promised that they will do during the electionary campaign. But to me, Nigeria, this is not the right time, whether we like it or not, to say that we want to increase the salary of Nigerian politicians, because people will tell you that they are earning enough. As a matter of fact, an argument just came up now that we have some governors now that are not at the 10th National Assembly. Now they'll be collecting salary as senators, they'll be collecting allowances as a senator, yet they will still collecting salary as former governors. Now we see have some states that are yet to abolish this issue of retirement salary for former governors and former deputies. Now we are having some governors now at the National Assembly. Their salaries will be going at the National Assembly. At the same time, salary will be going on from their state, a retirement salary. So is it the same people who are asking us to increase their salary again by 114%? 140% is not a joke, Angela. Because when you look at that commission very well, when you do the analysis, it's not a joke. So people are saying that no, this is not the time. This is the wrong time for you to say you want to increase the salary of politicians. First, increase the salary of Nigerian workers who are doing the job from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day, from Monday to Friday. Now, and we are talking about fuel scarcity. Can we say this fuel scarcity has already affecting the politicians? No, they are still going with their large convoy. Recently, we saw the Senate president. I'm not trying to.
At this point, sir, let's really take a better look at this. Now, from an article I read recently, said the federal legislature will earn about 2 million monthly salary and 25 million monthly running cost for his office if the 114% increment comes to place. Now, don't you think this speaks volume of the kind of people we have occupying political office in this nation? Now, in a country where we have, say, 130 million poor people, country where minimum wage is still 30,000 naira. And yet all they could think of, or all we could think of as individuals, is how to increase certain political office holders a salary. Now, probably money gotten from the removal of fuel subsidy, because we're not sure where this money is coming from. Then, knowing fully where we are in a debt, we are in a charade already. Exactly. So where is this money coming from? Because the only place I could think of as a person is probably fuel subsidy removal. Is this supposed to be an ideal way of thinking as individuals? Is this supposed to be an ideal way of thinking as government? No, these guys just came into power recently, not barely 2 months. We just recently have the governorship elections and House of Representatives and all that. And all they could think of at this point is increment, 114%. Doesn't this prove insensitivity on the part of political office holders?
I think Ezekiel, I'm not yet to speak for the lawmakers. I think this one is coming from the RANFAC. I don't want to believe that it's coming from the lawmakers here, because
they didn't seem to object. They didn't seem to say no.
Actually, there was a denial from the two bodies.
Yes, because
there was a denial from the two
because
bodies.
Ezekiel is that the proposal is yet to be made available to the National Assembly.
Because why would such a thing even come to hearing tonight in the first place?
And that is what
considering where we are.
And that is what Nigerians are saying. I align with your thought. Maybe money got it from the first subsidy. That's what they want to use, not to increase that. But the lawmakers will tell you that they are not the one proposing this. That is coming from the RANFAC, because RANFAC is the one in charge of increasing salary of the government officials and so on and so forth. But I think the question we should have is that why is it coming now from the RANFAC at this particular time? Because when you look at it, like when he spoke from France now, he totally denied it from the presidency. That President Tinubu knows nothing about this issue of 1%, 114% increment. And I've seen about sitting lawmakers in this assembly coming out to debunk it, that they know nothing about it, that they were not the one that proposed it, that is coming from the RANFAC. And lately, RANFAC came out that this one is coming from their commission, that just a kind of proposal that they are proposing that they want to increase the salary of the sitting lawmakers and politicians. So I think to my knowledge, I don't believe it's coming from the angle of our lawmakers. Neither is it coming from the angle of the presidency. So it's just a kind of proposal.
Do you think the lawmaker will actually king against such proposal that is brought to their table?
See, Ezekiel, it might be, I said something in my introduction that this thing will pass through this 26 state houses of assembly, and I don't see them opposing, because it's going to be a great benefit to them. But let me tell you, Ezekiel, if RANFAC make this available to the National Assembly, I think there's going to be public outcry from civil society, from Nigerians. In fact, if this should go to the National Assembly, I see TUC, I see NSC declaring a total strike, that bill must not go anywhere, that should be a dead on arrival. And I want to believe that President, in his own wisdom, coming to see what Nigerians are passing through now, will not be good time for him now. I will not be good timing for him now to say that they want to approve 114% increment in the salary of Nigerian politicians. It will not be timely, because Nigerians will go to street whether we like it or not. Because Nigeria will tell you that you are not putting their interest at the forefront. When you look at the oath in the constitution, oath very well, oath taken by the president, vice president, governors, deputy governor, all political appointees, they will tell you in that particular oath, it is clearly written, unambiguous, in that that they will always put the interest of the masses above their personal interest. So to me, I'm not speaking for President President Bola Tinubu, I'm not the Alake, but I want to believe that President will never stoop so low to say that he want to ascend to this increment of 114% in their salary at this time, with what Nigerians are passing through. No. And again, with the value questions that you ask, because Nigerians will be asking, where are you getting the money from? Because recently, don't forget what DMO told us now. Those recently, DMO came out that no, we've gone into the threshold of our borrowing, and warning the federal government that no, it's time now to stop borrowing. Now, if we are talking about the huge debt now on this particular government, we are talking about external debt, we are talking about internal debt, even from the one from the CBN. When the first subsidy was removed, I saw the good managing director of NNPC on national TV talking about the money that federal government is owing them. In fact, it came out to say that CBN has been the one paying subsidy for about 2 years, and government is owing them 2.3 trillion naira. So if we are still owing that particular amount of money, we are owing external debt, we are owing internal debt. Look our revenue to GDP, very low. Today now, we are still using about 90-something% of our IGR now to service debt. So no reasonable president, no reasonable lawmakers will sit and tell you that this is the next step for them to do, as far as what Nigerians are passing through is conspicuous to them. So to me, nobody, and I want to believe that nobody will dare to say that that's the next step for us. So far, Nigerians are still battling with the effect of fuel subsidy. So to me, I don't know what was going on when the RANFAC chairman said that came out with that particular proposal, because this is not the right time, whether we like it or not. So I want to believe basically that one is purely, and when you read the statement of Dede Alake from France, it clearly distanced federal government executive from that particular year of 114% increment of a distant federal government, that government did not even know anything, because news was going on that President has already approved. That was the news going on, that president has already approved the 114% increment in politician salary. And Nigeria did not take that lightly then. That how would that happen when you are here to solve the problem of first subsidy removal? You are here to solve the problem of TUC and NSC tabled before your government, that this was supposed to do and ameliorate the problem our workers, Nigerians are battling with. So to me, I want to be like no sensible president and no sensible lawmakers will allow that to come to their table and they will pass through with what Nigerians are passing through. Now, it is within the ambit of the law to increase their salary, whether because that commission have the statutory responsibility to start increasing the salaries of the job. But this is not the right time. You know, you can't be doing the right thing at the wrong time. You understand now? That will be totally bad and dent the image of the government. You know, people are still crying on the issue of first subsidy removers. While some are supporting the president, you know, when you look at the campaign, all of them campaigned that they will remove first subsidy. But what Nigerians have said that before removing first subsidy, give us a template. Give us something that will cushion the effect so that people will not feel much effect. But you not give us, you just remove first subsidy, and now by July, electricity tariff increase will be increased by 40%, and we'll be talking about increment a politician salary. So to me, I want to read that no reasonable and sensible government, Ezekiel, will go and do such. But they can do it later. And if they want to do it later, we've seen a kind of situation whereby minimum wage already increased. Because the best way now this government can give back to society, first you increase the minimum wage of Nigerian workers. But we know that after the increment, economics is very clear. There will go to be what we call food inflation. Because market men and women, they understand. When they increase the salary of teachers, they know. So what you are what you were buying before at the rate of 100 naira, automatically it will increase maybe to 500 and so on and so forth. So automatically when they increase the minimum wage, food inflation will go up. So that's the thing that the president should be looking at that particular moment. And again, they should send a note of warning to the chairman of rank flag that no, don't play on the intelligence of Nigerians, because to me that is too expensive on our intelligence. Coming out to say I want to increase the salary of Nigerian politicians about 114%, and this EU of first of all now we've seen most of them going on with convoy. So it's so that the effect of first subsidy, they don't even have anything to play on them. So and we're looking at Nigerians that they are the one at anything, any policy program of government, we are the receiving end, Ezekiel, whether we like it or not. Because some people now that normally take maybe 100 naira drop before now is around 150 now. So to me, it is untimely, whether we like it or not, that want to increase the salary of Nigerian politicians.
Let's talk about our policies.
Sorry to cut you, Ezekiel. But however, you earlier stated the issue of this minimum wage increment. Do you think actually that is going to be the answers to our solution?
Angela, whether we like it or not, it will answer the problem to a particular point. You see, whether we like it or not, there can be a perfect solution to what we are saying parties in this country. Because by the time you increase the minimum wage of Nigerian workers now, I think that one will help them, because you can't put petrol at the rate of 500 naira per liter, still have their minimum wage as tax, because the reason why the minimum wage was increased in the first place is the first subsidy removal then by Buhari's administration. I think it was peg around 100,000. From 100 move at the end of the day they arrived at 30,000 minimum wage. In fact, yet we have some governors that insisted that they can't pay 30,000 minimum wage then, and it got to a point that should we make the minimum wage harmonious in such a way that federal government will be the one to determine. Some governors came out that no, that federal government cannot determine, because you don't know what I'm passing through in my state. If I'm a governor of a state, Ezekiel is a governor of a state, Angela is a governor of a state, we are not generating the same IGR. We are not having the same income in our state. We have some states now that what they are generating monthly is what some states will generate in 4 months or 3 months. So you can't say that particular state that will generate maybe 2 billion in 6 months, they should pay the same salary that a particular state will generate that same 2 billion in 1 month. So that one got a national debate then that governors should be allowed to determine the minimum wage for their workers. Okay. But what we are saying is that, Angela, if the salary should be increased, I think that one we a little bit ameliorate the effect of first subsidy removal, because now percentage now we are buying for at the rate of 500 naira per litres now. You know what you are earning. By the time you remove the money for transportation from your working place to your house in a week, or maybe you have your own car, you know how much you were fueling your car before. Some people at times before they use 12,000 naira for fueling their car full tank, but now 4,000 naira cannot go anywhere fueling your tank. So government is that if we remove, if we increase the minimum wage, I think that one will go a long way, so that it won't be like we still rolling on 30,000 minimum wage in such a way that by the time you remove the money you are spending on fuel or transportation or food, at the end of the day you won't have any reasonable amount to come home with at the end of the month. But by the time we remove or we increase the minimum wage of Nigerian workers, you see that to some extent you will still balance the equilibrium in such a way that at least increasing the minimum wage will have a negative effect on the market product, whether we like it or not, because food increase will go up. They're going to call food inflation in such a way that those who are selling things will tell you that the amount of money they're using now to go to a particular location to get particular stuff has increased. So to me, it will go a long way in ameliorating the problem for Nigerian workers. But to me, see, I've said it in many places that for us to curb and to make this fuel subsidy removal more, the effect more lessen now, I think there's what we call a transportation palliative. That's what we're looking at now, because when you're talking about fuel subsidy removal, the only sector that you can feel the effect is on transportation. That's the only sector that you feel the effect, though you feel the effect in other places, but the issue of transportation is key in any way. I say that you are giving palliative when you are removing the fuel subsidy, because if we have what we call government mass transit in such a way that maybe for 6 months or for 7 months, then they will be subsidizing the price for Nigerian people and for Nigerian workers in such a way that where all these commuter buses or commercial buses supposed to be taking you 500 naira or 300 naira, due to that subsidized mass transit, you can be going there by 100 naira on working. So that's the best way to look at what we're talking about, subsidizing or giving palliatives where you are removing subsidy. And that was why I disagree with the former administration that you want to go and borrow money to be giving people 5,000 naira every month for 6 months. That will not go anywhere. In fact, if you are to do the arithmetic, how much is 5,000 naira divided by 500 naira when you want to buy a fuel? So to me, giving money is not the solution, because when you give money a week, less than 2 weeks, you are done with the money. So what will happen for the rest 4 weeks or 3 weeks in the month? So mass transit is the best way to give or to ameliorate the effect of fuel subsidy, and that's what governor of Oyo State is trying to do for its workers in Oyo State. So to me, increasing the minimum wage, and when you look at the demands of TUC, it's not only the minimum wage that the TUC now presenting to the federal government. They have a lot of things that are presenting to the federal government. And again, this issue of I keep mentioning the issue of tariff in electricity. Now again, you want to put another burden on Nigerians. By July 1 now, according to Disco, they want to increase by 40%. So I think there's need for this government now to solve pedal as far as these policies and programs. You can't come up and solve everything within a month. It's just a gradual process. Do this, give them the palliative. Do this, give them the palliative, so that the burden will not be too much on Nigerian citizens. And I keep saying it, we citizens, we are the one bearing the burden, whether we like it or not. From your perspective so far, since this administration was sworn into government, do you think that they've been prioritizing things properly? I think it's less than. I think the government in power now is yes to still be a month in office now. I think from few days to come now will be exactly a month in office. And what we've been able to see so far, Angela, this issue of maybe getting some people out of office, getting more ends, you understand now, getting your special advisors. I think the only policy this government has been able to put in place is the issue of first subsidy removal, then issue of signing student loans to law, then issue of signing maybe electricity bill into law in such a way that electricity will not be under exclusive list now, will be under concurrently in such a way that as state government you can start generating your own power now. And I think that's only I can remember for now. But I think government is trying to see before we can see properties in place. Don't forget that recently now they dissolved some agencies now. Basically, I think only NAFDAC and some agencies now left, other dissolved, and yet to constitute is cabinet minister. So we are yet to see more or much from this particular government in terms of policy. So until we have the ministers in place and we have some agencies that have been dissolved in place, then we can start evaluating this government. So far so good, The only thing we've seen from this government is some removing some people from office, having some shade guys, having chiefs. He appointed a special advisors. Then his first official trip to France to meet with some people, how we gain more bilateral relations with France, get more foreign investors to Nigeria. So Nigerians are yet to start feeling that positive impact from this government, because government started from the hill of removal of fuel subsidies, which did not go well with some Nigerians, even though we all believe that subsidy must go. But at least when we are taking off subsidy, I think we have to put some things in place that will not make the effect to be much on Nigeria. So we're talking about policies and programs. We're here to see from this government, because the government is still new enough. Maybe at the end of 100 days enough with Angela, we can come back and start dissecting the policies and the government, policies and programs of the government so far, whether have been masses friendly or not. So far so good. Let's see what the government will roll out as in terms of policies. You know, government has enormous challenges or not. We are talking about issue of insecurity. Ezekiel talks about 1.3 million Nigerian Months by naturally poor. We are talking about unemployment rate, our inflation rate, our debt, whether we like it or not, and so on and so. So this government has a lot to do to battle with as far as government is concerned. But Nigerians are expecting more from this government, because when they were coming in February, they campaigned on renewed hope. You don't look at Nigerians don't have hope again in government. That's why people are leaving the country in droves. You know, doctors are leaving, nurses are leaving, Nigerians are leaving in the name of Japa. That let's find all with. But some people can sell their cars just to leave the country. So let's see how this government will renew the lost hope of Nigerians in government, because it is very clear, it is indebatable that Nigerians don't have hope again in this government. Because if Nigerians should have hope, we will not be talking about dilapidated structure of earth. You know, for recently, when Brigade was in Nigeria, you know, some governors met with Brigade, and when you look at that meeting, center on issue of earth that's come and assist them, that the earth structure in Nigeria is deteriorating. So it's so that people don't believe in this. So let's see how this government will be able to renew our hope in the area of X sector, renew our hope in the area of education, renew our hope in the area of infrastructural development, renew our hope in the area of coping corruption, because today people believe that corruption even starts from within the government, from the civil servant. So let's see how Bola Tinubu administration will renew our hope in the fighting against corruption, and let's see how it will renew our hope in the delivery of good governance from the government to the government. So let's see, maybe in 100 days in office, we'll be able to do a kind of assessment and evaluate his program and policy. Because I took time to read his speech on that Democracy Day, and it talks a lot, particularly on Nigerian youth, how to reduce the issue of unemployment and how to make electricity. Though he made mention that want to make electricity stable, and when electricity is stable, Angela, it will attract more investors to Nigeria. You need to know how much people are spending on diesel, how much people are spending on petrol, how much people are spending just to keep their business alive. And the life engine of a business is electricity. No matter the business you will open today, you must have a standby electricity that will be running your business whether you like it or not. So he made mention about agriculture. They want to revive agriculture. So he made mention about, in fact, it talks about foreign policy. It talks about reducing taxes by companies and so on. So it talks about a lot of things that will renew and will kindle our hope in government. So let's see how we go. But again, increasing the salary of politicians, this is not the right time to do such.
Ever since this administration came into power, there's policies has not been free from controversy. Now, particularly the student loan policy. That one in particular is not free from misunderstanding. I mean, the term, you know, used, the criteria, the process is too bogus at some points, quite complicated. It's more like it's not exactly meant for the poor to some extent. Now, I tend to wonder, so far, the policies that have been coming from this administration, is it really to enable the poor, or some people actually tend to believe it's probably taking out the little the poor have just to service the debt of the rich. Now, just like I was saying, as to the 114% proposal, of it's more like you're taking from the poor and then trying to service the rich. It doesn't really exactly seem as if it's trying to help out the poor. Now, the policy of subsidy removal, it's fine, no subsidy, but like you said, no means, no mechanism in hand to actually cushion the effect.
Yes,
so
exactly.
what kind of policy are you bringing if you know as a person that your work is actually to help your citizens, persons that actually voted you into power, but yes, policies you make are not exactly helping them. It's really hard to really understand what's going on in the government right now.
All right. You know, on this issue of student loan, I listened to the president of ASU, and it talks about that the policy is okay, but government need to modify the criterion, the process, and so on and so forth. In fact, it got to a point, ASU president was like, if they can change it from loan to grant in such a way that it won't be loan. Loan is talking about we have to pay the money back, and the question
in 2 years,
and the question I asked was that if at the end of the day, after leaving school, there's no job for you to pay the money back, well, how will you now pay the money back? Because if you want to pay money back, at least you have to have a job doing. And government is not saying that automatically after leaving school, there's going to be a job for you so that you're able to pay back your loan. And I know the penalty attracted with not paying back the loan. You understand?
Yeah.
So I think I align with ASU. But to me, the loan is fantastic, whether we like it or not. Because Ezekiel, in most cases, I've interviewed people that why didn't you go to school? They tell you that my parents were unable to sponsor me, that due because no money and so on and so on. But to me, fantastic. But if no is a law, so we can amend. It's a subject to an amendment. So there's nothing wrong. To me, I would advise government that government should sit with ASU, because we are talking about education and students. ASU are the right place to tell you how the things should go. No, we are not talking about those are the National Assembly that are very far from Nigerian education. All their children are schooling in abroad, so they don't know the in-depth of what to do. So there's nothing wrong with government having a roundtable discussion with ASU. ASU, you are the one very close to these people. You know what we can do to ameliorate the effect or our indigent students who don't have money to pay. I was one in that particular category now when I was doing my master's as University of Ibadan. No money to pay for my second exam. In fact, I paid a late entry. So to me, that loan is very good, but we need to look at the modality, and if it is subject to review, let review and let put some things in place so that at the end of the day, they won't be like, maybe how will my parent get 500,000 in their account? An indigent student. How do one indigent student to have access to a lawyer? How do one indigent student to have access to a civil servant with maybe 13 level or grade level 14? So I think that thing is still subject to review. We can sit back and review, but I know that I think they said they will kick off by September this year. So I think we still have a lot to do. So I think we still have a lot to do and do a kind of recap and do some amendments so that it will the loan will meet its purpose and intent for our indigent students across the federal tertiary institutions in Nigeria.
Oh, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Angela,
wonderful so far, and I guess he answered all Ezekiel's questions. Anyways, to our viewers, thank you once again for always tuning in to Daybreak Africa on KAFTAN Television. Well, this is where we'll be signing out from our studios right here in Analyst to our Lagos station. Please stay back and watch while I sign out. I am Angela Daku.
Oh, wonderful. The head of Ezekiel Ogar.